Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy hoodie season. That's right. It is hoodie season. Happy autumn, fall. It really is autumn, but I understand some of you will call it fall. And happy DART Day. That is right. NASA is using their DART program to slam into an asteroid today to see if they can veer it off course. And that just means, ladies and gentlemen, that we are just 4 days away from preseason NBA basketball on the 30th. Can't wait. We have NBA Media Days. Some started last week, most kicking off today. We've got news from the Hawks with Hawks Fan TV if he pops through. We've got news about the Sixers, Bucks, maybe the Miami Heat getting into the Jay Crowder sweepstakes. We don't know, but they definitely need somebody who's a perfect four next to Bam. And we got more Boston Celtics news, because we just haven't talked Celtics enough. Appreciate you stopping by. It's always a great day to talk ball. We are presented by Slam Goods, which is the online marketplace of Slam Online. And if you know about basketball, you should remember Slam Magazine. That's who they are. And they help support us, bringing you good NBA content for season 2 of Hoop Spaces. So make sure you head over to slamgoods.com, use promo code Hoop Spaces to save 15% off your purchase site wide. And I even got a tweet for you, because it makes it easier. All right, appreciate it. If you guys want a mic, come on up. Go ahead and raise your hand. A simple day, not much going on. Finished up the Eastern Conference preview, getting that over to Hoop Spaces Ryan so we can get that up on the website for Wednesday's show. Wednesday's show, we will be breaking down all things Eastern Conference, getting ready for some good basketball, hopefully in the preseason. And in fact, I'm so excited. I'm going to tell you again, Friday, 6 a.m., ladies and gentlemen, NBA Japan. The Washington Wizards will be hosting the Golden State Warriors on NBA TV, 6 a.m. Man, I am happy. We are here. We have made it. I don't have to pretend to like football. I can put football in its place, and that is way down on the totem pole. All right, like way down there. I would rather watch the New York Mets than the NFL. Like, let me just put that out there. And if you don't get that joke, you need to head over to Nets Kingdom on YouTube and check out what Saint and Nets Kingdom AJ have, because you will find a man named Brandon. He will show up, and he is a Mets fan, and I feel bad for that. All right. I see Saint. I gave him a shout out. Also giving a shout out to Justin Padden, JP the franchise on YouTube. Jose is in the building. Going back to the classic, Jose, Paradox Killer 23, one of the 3 dopest Mavs content creators here on Twitter. You can catch them at 77 Spaces. And shout out to Jazz, aka Scammer Sultan, holding it down last week with the other women of Hoop Spaces, breaking down the Boston Celtics Ime Udoka scandal in a way that, quite honestly, no man could do. And we are appreciative of what they're able to share, because I think it made all of us better. All right, there you go. Not a lot of news coming out other than some more rehashing of the Boston Celtics convo. Apparently, it was a team executive, high-end executive. Apparently, there was a Ring doorbell video, and also possibly a private eye. Like, I had said in a tweet that this was Derek Fisher level, and a lot of people were wondering what I was alluding to, because that was the only comment that I had made on the scandal so far, and it's going to continue to be the only comment I make on this incident so far, because we don't know everything, and the more that comes out, the less you're going to like it. And I said that from the beginning, because I do know a little more. If you pay attention to the Up and Smoke podcast and you pay attention to Matt Barnes also knows more. And if you look at his reaction and what he said, how he said, you start to question certain things. That's not a knock here nor there. I hope all parties involved, specifically the innocent women who had been much maligned on social media, including NBA Twitter. I hope they get some reprieve, and I hope they get the apologies that are warranted to them because, like, nobody should be treated as such, especially women in this situation. We're not about the victimization here. So, we held a great space last week about it. If you missed it and you want to catch up, you can head over to YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, where we are powered by audiolabs.io, repurposing our space into YouTube content, and also will be the producers or one of the producers of the podcast coming out. And we have the Serial podcast getting planned, trying to nail down some real dope interviews with some people of the community, players, coaches, and the like. So we've got that coming up. Also, we've got some interesting news in regards to international basketball, and I don't know how many of people follow international basketball, but it's definitely something that's going to pick up because the NBA is starting to invest more in different countries. Specifically, I can give you an example. They are investing heavily in India. All right, let me get you caught up though, because a lot of stuff happened with this Boston Celtics thing. So we ended up, skipping over some stuff. So let's get some news and notes and get you caught up. We'll start first with the Robert Sarver incident because yes, Steph Curry, ladies and gentlemen, actually called Adam Silver in the wake of the Sarver punishment. And I think that shows, again, the level of player empowerment that we live in. It's absolutely dope that I think that one of your star players who just won the finals can literally call the head of the administrative staff of the NBA ownership group, because that's what the league office is, and say, hey, I need to know what your point of view is. He didn't accuse Silver of anything, right? Not like some members of the media or on NBA Twitter. He had to ask, hey, I need to know personally what your views are of the decisions and what mechanisms did you have to be able to do what you did. So, in essence, he took some time out and asked a pertinent question. What are your personal thoughts and feelings, and what were you even allowed to do instead of just jumping to conclusions? I think that's a phenomenal story. If we want to talk about that, we have that. Also, Giannis in the news says that Steph Curry, the same person we just talked about, in his mind, is the best player on the planet, period. He is the better player. He doesn't believe in this comparison. So all of you people who had Giannis over Steph, I mean, you gotta take that into account. Jay Crowder is going to sit out of training camp amid trade talk. It's going to happen. The question is what team. I've heard Miami. I've heard Brooklyn. I've heard Washington. I've heard Detroit. I've heard the Lakers, and I've also heard the Mavericks. Right. I don't think the Mavs are going to be a buyer because they already have wings of that nature. So if you're hearing Mavs, it's probably because there might be a three team. But Jay Crowder is the last name really on the books that is going to move. CJ McCollum signs a 2-year, $64 million extension in New Orleans, keeping him there a long time. Cavs and Dean Wade. If you don't remember Dean Wade, he was a phenomenal player at Kansas State. 3-year, $18.5 million extension. And unfortunately, some bad news. Markel Fultz, ladies and gentlemen, is out indefinitely with a fractured big toe. I share something in common with Markel Fultz. I have thoracic outlet syndrome. If you remember his time in Philadelphia, that is what sidelined him. I've been a fan. I've been rooting for him to come back. He came back last year. He looked phenomenal. Another setback. So, thoughts and well wishes to Markel Fultz. Draymond Green doesn't think a contract extension is going to happen before the season. Russell Westbrook is all in on whatever it takes for the Lakers to win. So I think that's him embracing the finality of that the bench role that might be in his future. And one last thing, Jordan Nwora of Nigerian basketball and of Milwaukee Bucks, 2 years, $6.2 million deal. One of the last remaining unrestricted free agents who have yet to sign. All right, do me the favor, please like and retweet the first tweet up there. It's the show card, and also if you know anybody who needs a hoodie, please retweet the second one because there's a whole bunch that are on sale right now at slamgoods.com, and you can use promo code HoopSpaces and save 15% more. All right, if you want a mic, go ahead and request it. We've got Micah and Denny already on their way up, and we got plenty to talk about as we get ready for training camp, and specifically that will be the NBA Media Days. Denny, we'll go to you, Sir Denny Blanco, ladies and gentlemen. Ball is Life, the breakdown with Denny B. Go ahead. What you got?
Oh, wow. You said a mouthful today. Good morning, everyone. Sir Denny Blanco, Ball is Life. It's in the Game podcast. Check it out when you have an opportunity. Appreciate you guys. So quick to the business. Robert Sarver, first and foremost. Randy asked me if there was a plan B, if the 1-year suspension wasn't enough. I said, no, he needs to be gone. And in 24 hours, he was gone. And that's interesting. You said Steph actually called my man Adam Silver directly and said, how do you feel about all this? Is that right? That's what you said earlier, Chris?
That is the reports by Kendra Andrews, who used to be the beat reporter who moved over to ESPN at the end of last year.
All right. So that's interesting to know that Steph has that man on speed dial. And last question I have is actually it's question statement. The Boston Celtics thing. I mentioned, I had conversations with my colleague Randy the Cruz, and I asked, what would have been the issue if Udoka was gone for a year? Udoka was gone for a year. Boston Celtics came out and said, we're suspending Udoka because of conduct detrimental to the team. We will reevaluate after a year. You're going to get speculation, but are you going to get speculation about, pointing fingers and bringing up names and all this other jazz? I don't think so. So I'd like to pose that to the room in terms of a conversation. Do you guys and gals think that if Boston Celtics actually did this press release and said differently and didn't even mention, seems like they leaked a lot of stuff. So I'm just trying to see if this could have been handled a little bit better. What say you?
Oh yeah, you definitely missed the Friday convo because nobody won on this, and I had said what it seemed as though what happened is the Boston Celtics had a timeline of how they wanted it to go. They had already had the investigation. They had the foundings of the investigation. They probably told the parties involved what was going to happen. And then some point between then and the original release, some third party went ahead and said, I'm telling to XYZ. Now, there's been speculation that was someone saying a player's like, well, I'm just telling Shams now. And then the, Celtics top brass, leaked over to Woj, who then did the now infamous 11 p.m. tweet that put all NBA Twitter, in a cyclone. Or could it have been somebody who was party to the investigation, right, who was going to leak, let's say, to TMZ, right? Nobody knows. All we know is that whatever the action was forced Boston probably to try to get ahead of it in the narrative department, hence the leak by Woj late, and then the following Shams leak, right?
Udoka won't be back, in my opinion. I'll take all bets. I don't think he's back with Boston. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard pressed, and I think a lot of it is because there's so much still out there that people don't know, and people want to know. And now because of how the social media cycle is, which is why we didn't really talk about it while it was going on, and a lot of people, DM me like it's just not something we should cover like
We
that.
don't have enough information, though.
Exactly. So, I think we'll get more information, and I do not believe Ime Udoka will coach in Boston again. And I think that this is the correct strategic play corporate wise. It
For
doesn't
all parties.
necessarily work in the world of media, which is instant gratification. So it's going to be an interesting watch. If you watch the press conference, um, the body language was very telling.
Facts.
The owner who he lives in a different world than we do. He was a much more relaxed. He was calm. He understood the moment. Brad Stevens was not. He understood the moment. He was not relaxed. He was actually defensive and tensive. Two different things. So
He was tense. He gave off that uh the press conference didn't put Udoka in a, I wouldn't say it's not supposed to be a better light, but when you have Matt Barnes doing the flip flop, yes, y'all, you guys need to do better, Boston. Then no, wow, I'm sorry. Yes, Udoka did something. This is 100 times worse than we know. When you say things like that, people peak. People get really, really aggressive, and they want to know. So I don't see this going away anytime soon. But before I close, and I'll give you back the floor, don't let this distract you from the fact that Brett Favre stole millions of dollars from poor people. I relieve my time.
now that's an NFL story that I definitely can talk about. Yeah, you're correct. Let me give you a point. In fact, like someone asked me, like, what do you think was worse? And I'm like, you can't really equate either. They are both like 6, 7 circles, you know what I'm talking about. All right, we got Micah up, we have KP up. Micah, go ahead. What you got?
No.
Man, you hate to hear it, man. That was dead air. Dead
Ah,
air.
oh man, I just missed it. I just turned my mic on.
Yeah. Okay. All right, what you got?
Man, okay, so first, let's talk about the one. I get it. Giannis is a humble guy. But at the end of the day, the best player in the league has to dominate both sides of the ball. That's just what it is. And at this point in time, Giannis is really the only player that fits that bill.
Facts.
So let's just keep it a buck, and not just that. Let's be honest about it. When you say best player in the league, 9 times out of 10, you can throw that guy on a dog ass team and win 50 games. Let's stop acting like the Warriors wasn't in the play-in, losing in the play-in by missing one member of their core. Yes, he's great. I love Steph. He's one of my favorite players. But sometimes I hate it that people go too over the top and make you want to poke holes in your favorite player's game. I'm a Mavericks fan, but I will never say Luka is the best player in the league because of his deficiencies on that side of the ball. Let's keep it a bean at that. And as far as the deal with Ime, we got to be honest, man. That's corporate. That's just what it is. If the 5th richest white guy in America is getting packed up from the board of the company that he created, why not a coach? I'm sorry. That's just how corporate America works, because it's a bad look, and certain things happen whenever you bring that into the workplace, especially when you're dealing with probably a subordinate. So, yeah, it's messy, and we can say, oh, this isn't fair because this guy did this and got away with it. Man, I was always taught two wrongs don't make a right. Sometimes somebody's going to get a lesser punishment, but at the end of the day, both of them was wrong. So that's basically all I got.
All right, definitely appreciate it. And hey, man, like it happens sometimes, man. Like just know that it's okay. We give you the horns out of love. That's all. KP coming off of a great KP views. In fact, we're gonna get that replay up here. Let me go ahead and mute your mic. We're gonna get that replay up here so you guys can listen to it in perpetuity. He does a phenomenal job breaking down. Now it is the house of the Dragons. Like he was here last week, and he tried to tell you are saying it incorrectly. Okay, it is house of the Dragons. KP, what you got?
Thank you, Christopher. And I call you Christopher out of respect because I'm going to be taking my flowers today. As you know, Christopher, I've been right on this ever since Twitter decided to say, hey, let's give spaces to the best operating system in the world, which is Android. I jumped on with no haste to put my claim in as the greatest on the Spaces app. And I've been right for 12 months, Chris. And I'm going to be right again. I hear a lot of people say, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you guys are sorry. Because that's a double entendre. Don't even ask me how. Steph is the greatest player in the league. It's been known that when you win the chip, winning matters. If you don't win, you can't be deemed the greatest. If you don't beat your kids in basketball, they're going to hold that over your head forever. You know what your kid's going to say? Hey, Dad, you a loser. If you play me in Uno and I hit you with the draw 4 at the end, you can't say I'm the greatest Uno player in the world because I almost won. No, you're a loser. Not in the sense that you're not smart, but in the sense that, hey, you just lost to the better player. Steph is the greatest player in the league. When LeBron won in the bubble, that little AAU championship, people was dancing in the streets, even though they didn't have a parade. So they was dancing in the streets in an empty stadium. They was pouring champagne with no microphones around so you can hear every word, right? So when Giannis won in 2020, whatever he won, people say, oh, he's the greatest. And you don't got to dominate on both ends of the court. That's something that you just made up in your head. That's never been a criteria for being the greatest player in the league. That's a criteria for holding down other players that you think aren't the greatest player in the league. And furthermore, if you ever say, this is my favorite player, but I ain't never going to say he the greatest, then that's not your favorite player. I'm always going to say Batman is the greatest superhero because he is. I'm always going to say Steph is the greatest player in the league because he is. And I'm always going to say I'm always right because I am. So get confidence in yourself, read a couple of self-development books, and understand that you've been wrong. Please don't come to my space and tell me that I'm wrong when I'm right. KP was right, ... again. And every Sunday after the show goes off, we start at 10:05 until the show is over. We are recapping House of the Dragons, people. I know we like to, put acronyms and say what up instead of how you doing and what it is instead of is everything okay? I know we like to do that, but this is House of the Dragons. Respect the writers, respect the actors, respect the home of the greatest show on TV, HBO Max. Get Disney Plus up out of here because Disney is like Apple. They both suck because everything connected. Thank you, Christopher. I'll give you back my time.
Hey, yo, Chris.
Yo.
Chris, I appreciate KP sitting in his truth, believing what he believes. But
No, not my truth. The truth. Just like House of the Dragons. Just like House of the Dragons, it's the truth.
The truth. Yeah, no, just in general, like the Dragons in terms of Steph being the best player. I appreciate that. But a broken clock is wrong twice a day.
No, it's not. It's only wrong once because once it hits 11:59, it's not the same day anymore. So stop that. That's hype. That's a lie that's been going on for centuries. It's not broken twice a day. It's only broken once. Stop it.
Well, if you listen to my son, he would actually tell you that a broken clock is not wrong at all because a broken clock ceases to tell time. All right. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. KP, the actual show is up there. KP Views. You got to check it out. House of the Dragon, episode 6. And like, I can't listen to it because I will eventually watch it, probably actually this weekend, not going to lie. And I'm going to end up binging it on Sunday because it's the only day I have. Swimming. If you are a swimming parent, yo, my man, this life is rough. It's like travel baseball without the travel. My Saturdays are done. Anyway, back to basketball. Question for TJ as I give TJ a shout out down below. And if you can't come up and you want to, be part of the convo, there's a chat box in the bottom right. In fact, TJ said good morning. There is a lot of talk in men's college basketball of North Carolina being the best team. So I'm just going to simply ask, do you trust UNC? Yes or no? That's what I want to know for college basketball. KP, you got something?
Yeah, I'm a Duke fan. I've been a Duke fan since '90s. Grant Hill, Kristen Leitner. I was the only Duke fan in my my high school. Everyone else like Michigan and UNLV. So I say the long answer is hell no. Down with UNC, down with Apple, down with Marvel.
All right. Denny, do you trust UNC? I don't. Yeah, Denny doesn't want to be on wax. All right. I get it. Another team that I don't trust, Houston. I don't trust the Houston Cougars. They're ranked number 3. I'm just putting that in there because the projecting starting lineups have just came out and have updated, and I have to go through it because for some reason somebody decided to email me like right now. All right, back to some basketball. We have media days coming up, ladies and gentlemen. The Philadelphia 76ers media days here. I want to know down below if you want to put it in the chat box or you want to come on up. What are the questions you want to ask your favorite team as we get ready to listen to a whole bunch of politic in the world of basketball? And like we are here to collectively talk about it, but I am here to help you read between the lines of these answers so you can tell whether or not your team is going to be a contender or a pretender as we get ready for Wednesday's show discussing all things Eastern Conference. And I bet you the biggest question you have is, are the Brooklyn Nets going to be a contender? That's an interesting question. I don't know. It really.
I got
what?
a question for Knicks fans,
Yeah.
for Knicks players. Where are they going to play when Eric Adams decides to move MSG out of 34th Street? That's what I wanted.
Well, they'll play wherever they build their next arena. They'll make billions of dollars.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, the only, like I told people this before, Chris, MSG is bad in food and it's bad on 34th Street.
Well, yeah, the food sucks. I've been to MSG enough times, not for basketball, but like, yeah, that their food is, bleh. Like it's so uninventive and unimaginative. All right, we've got 2 guys up here who came up when I asked the question, do you trust UNC? I already know what TJ's going to say, so we're going to go to JFK first. JFK, good morning. Do you trust UNC?
Unfortunately, no, I don't trust them because they lost in my Miami Hurricanes, so I'm gonna say no. Second of all, Chris, I don't even trust the guy who's a Christian Laettner fan. I was with KP until he said that, so I might have to go ahead and question all his comments that he's been saying about Disney and Marvel, and especially Game of Thrones. I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones, and I'm happily to say that. So just that little comment is a little dent in his shield. So I'm gonna have to go revisit that because I am not a Game of Thrones guy. So I don't trust UNC, and I'm here for Media Day.
Why don't people like good stuff, Chris? Why don't people like good stuff?
It's all hype, and I'm glad that I didn't see it, and it's been on hype, and it's still hype, so I can keep on continuing not to watch it because I was almost there, and then they wanted to come out with this new show, so I was like, all right, let me sit back in my chair and go watch something else. Raising Kanan is on, so I might as well go enjoy myself. Support Black products.
Are you sure it's a black crowd because it got black people in it? But we're gonna not speak about that.
Hey, the first season of Game of Thrones is one of the top 10 series of all time on television. The second season on, it just steps down, and down. But that's
Can I ask JFK? Which team are you a fan of again?
The guy with the dreadlocks.
I know. I'm just asking you directly. What team are you a fan of again?
The Miami Heat.
Okay, I'm just putting that on my marker because you will be dismantled this year. Thank you.
Hold on, by the Knicks?
No, see what's hilarious is you have now a Warriors fan and a Heat fan, and then the Warriors fan is going against the Heat fan who does the Draymond Green slander. It's gonna be dope.
Oh, Chris, he doesn't know.
What's the question for Spo and Pat?
The question for Spo and Pat is that it was already being asked. With losing PJ Tucker, I don't want to hear, oh, we just gonna have to fill it in. No, what are you guys really trying to do about that 4 spot? Because everybody's been hounding on the guards this offseason, trying to get Donovan Mitchell or one of these guards, or even the Kevin Durant. But my main focus has always been, what are we going to do at the 4? What complementary piece is going to be able to fit Bam Adebayo so he can be able to propel himself at the 5 position? I mean, PJ Tucker did his thing last year, but again, we weren't going to pay $33 million. You get what I'm saying? For him for another 3 years when he's already at 37 years old. So that means that we would be expecting our 4 to be 40 years old in our championship run. So I understand that aspect, but what are we going to do? Are we looking still in the free agency for a trade? I heard Jay Crowder is sitting out from training camp looking for the Phoenix Suns are trying to get him a trade. So what's going on with that? I don't know. I need something because to start Jovic, I love him. It's a little questionable though. I need somebody a little bit more solid that can definitely have, a better foundation at the 4 that can set defense and get some minimal scoring in the paint. So that's my question, Chris.
All right, that's a great question. Anybody up here want to take a stab at trying to answer that as I put it up here in a tweet? Because I think that's a great question.
I got one for him.
Go ahead.
And I mean this in all joking manner. Draymond Green. That's what you guys need.
Jesus Christ, though. You want me to throw my phone in the lake, huh?
Oh, that was a good one. All right. With losing PJ Tucker, what are you doing to fill that 4 spot? Question by the Cake Boss, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see it up here up top because that's what we do. I know TJ trusts UNC. Why he does, I don't know. He'll tell us while he'll be disappointed. And then we got Danny D and Knight in the back getting ready to come on up. TJ, go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Of course, I'm riding USC all the way into the end. Pause. Also, I know 2 things for sure. They're definitely going to be better than Duke, and they're definitely going to be better than Maryland, and they're definitely going to be better than the Miami Hurricanes. I have to really look at the class this year. I didn't really get a chance to. I've been pretty busy, but we run the ACC now. Now that Coach K's gone. So, yeah, UNC to the end.
All right. And what question do you have for Kerr or Bob Myers about the Golden State Warriors for Media Day?
Can we see Moses Moody more? That's a lot of M's. Also, can we really get a Wiseman Looney second unit? Like those, I mean, I want to see them more than on the first unit. I like to see them on the second unit. Run it small on the first team, put them 2 in the back. That's just what I want to see.
Well, I'm going with the first one because I like the alliteration. Will we see Moses Moody more this season? Sounds like it's straight out of a Harry Potter book.
Hey, Chris, I just posted something up top for these Miami Heat fans. Can y'all trust the guy that's Jimmy with the good hair? Is that what's going on for the rest of the year? Like, what are we doing, Jimmy?
Chris.
You can't trust him in
2 weeks.
You can't trust him with a ball.
Go ahead, Dave.
This is what happens when people don't listen. Jimmy just said that he's doing this to piss the people on Twitter off, and it's working. So congratulations, KP.
Oh, I'm not pissed off. I'm laughing, actually. It's a joke.
You fell for it, but guess what? You're being
He's Eddie Murphy right now. He's the biggest joke. And Miami Heat fans, it's going to be really funny when y'all get knocked out the playoffs. But play in. Sorry.
Again, I got to revisit KP's takes, man. As soon as he said that Christian Laettner stuff, Christian Laettner didn't do shit on Miami, so I don't know what you're talking about.
He's the greatest college player of all time behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's debatable. That was a lot of media hype back then for Christian Laettner and Duke. There's been players who are better, like Christian.
The greatest college basketball shot of all time.
Pure luck.
He was not as good as Lynn Bias. Like that. That's my problem. He was not as good as Lynn Bias. He was not as good as Pistol Pete Maravich, who just destroyed college basketball records. It was a lot of hype. He got on the USA team, and McDonald's backed him. That's really all it was.
And he put Shaq in the blender, but I digress.
Okay.
No, no.
Yeah. What career would you rather have, Shaq or Christian Laettner?
In college, Christian Laettner.
You know what? I don't know.
Take his mic.
You got to know what Shaq did in college, bro. He had some fun down in.
He lost. That's what he did.
These takes are getting bad and bad by the day.
No,
he watch Game of Thrones.
It's okay. Danny D will be up next. Danny D, good morning. I hope you are still basking in the celebratory glory that is the Las Vegas Aces championship and A'ja Wilson supremacy. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm well, and good morning to all. And House of the Dragon is really good. And don't be a Mitch like Christian Cole. You have to look that up to understand what I mean. But if you don't watch the show, don't be a Mitch like Christian Cole. Oh God, don't get me started. But anywho, I'm basking in the glow. A'ja 4 shots. Wilson is still out there dominating out there on the paint. Shout out to Brianna Jones out there. I know a lot of people concerned about what's missing Brittany Griner. That's Brianna Jones backing her up back there, knocking people down with that solid body of work down there with that 24 points. It was 24 points. Kelsey Plum with 19 last night. I mean, Korea was hitting them threes. I was like, oh, we might have a challenge here. But, we put in 145, 145 on people. I'm like, well, damn, y'all some angry women. Okay. But I love it, but I'm enjoying it. Giannis said it yesterday, the last team standing. Who's the best player on that team? I'm paraphrasing here. And it's A'ja Wilson. Her team is last standing. She's the best player in the world right now. And you know who's the best player in the world in the NBA? Stephen. I'm gonna give it to you with my degree Curry and my 4 chips. Somebody else can't take a picture with their 4 chips because they play for 3 different teams. They're going to have to Photoshop them ones in there. But you know who I'm talking about. I trust UNC because Duke ain't going to be – I can't believe – I understand what's wrong with KP now. He been drinking too much of that blue juice down there, that blue devil juice. They ain't going to – Duke ain't gonna be Jack this year. I was about to say another word, but I refuse to do that. Try to stop cursing. I trust UNC, but I'm always gonna go with my Michigan people. Juwan Howard. Looking at that class this year, it's gonna be exciting. I always look forward to college basketball season. More or less, I'm trying to stick out for the women more and learn about these players. It's so hard to learn. But anyway, it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to media day. I got to get at 5 o'clock on Friday, Central Standard Time, to watch my guys. And that Jimmy, y'all, y'all men make fun of women and our extensions and our wigs. Y'all ain't going to sit there and say jack about Jimmy and his predator dreadlocks?
Well,
Come on now. Has he made
we
the weight gain? I appreciate you for not doing that, but most men do. Some men do. But y'all gonna sit there. Jimmy's hair was short 2 months ago. No black man's hair grow like that. Okay.
Miss Danny, we forget to realize that there's another Miami superstar who did this before he even got to Miami. It was Tyreek Hill, but nobody wanted to say anything about it.
I don't care remember Tyreek Hill, but what I can say is Jimmy making the required weight gain. Because that hair is going to add probably another 50 pounds on him. He think he cute. I don't know what happened with him and Rachel Nichols. I don't know if she needs to come let him smash. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I don't know what's going on with Jimmy. It's not going to help him win a title to Miami. I mean,
at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, baby, that's why I'm trademark it. Look. I know you love your look. I know you love the Heat. I know you love the Heat. The proximity. I don't know if where's old boy with the slick back? Get him some of that slick back. Get some of that slick back gel.
No, we don't want no slip back.
I don't know. He need that because nights like this, I wish the raindrops would fall because they're not falling on Jimmy and that.
We don't want a Christian Leitner with a slick back.
I think you're just jealous that he's spending like 50 grand on his hair.
I mean, he's spending it. He's spending it, and I need him to stop. This is scary. This is a man that's depressed.
FYI, he's shedding that hair by the start of the season.
We know. We're just having fun because
I hope so because he look a hot mess. He gonna hit somebody, knock somebody's eye out with those dreads.
Those extensions are somebody's rent money.
Man, he
looking like one of the avatars.
He'll be fine. Like if Reggie Bullock can do it, so can Jimmy Butler. Knight, what's up?
I want to cut Reggie Bullock's hair. Don't get me started. That mad at Festus, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
We're doing great. How are you?
I'm awesome.
That's good to hear.
I'm here for Media Day. I'm a Mavs fan.
Right.
How we going to compare Reggie Bullock's dreads to Jimmy's?
Well, Reggie Bullock doesn't have dreads. He has wigs. It's the difference.
Yeah, and they're like freaking 2 inches long.
Wait. I'm talking about what he had in New York. Like, aren't they shorter now? Like in New York,
they're way shorter now.
Yeah, in New York, he didn't have the short 2.5 inch. They were down to his shoulders.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're wigs.
I think this is a sign that you need to do that thread on dreads that you did once on mullets.
You know what? Okay, I got it. I got you, JP. I'm gonna find all the hairstyles and do a thread. All right, Knight. Give us a question you would want to ask Nico and Mark.
Okay. Well, Nico and Mark. Shit. All right. I don't really have a question for Nico. I feel like Nico's doing a great job. It sucks that we lost Brunson, but like far as Brunson goes, like the points, they will be made up. Like that shit doesn't matter to me. Now his playmaking, that's another thing. Like and Ntilikina and Josh Green and Jaden Hardy, they can't make plays the way Jalen Brunson did. Now, obviously, that could develop during the season or whatnot. But I think the question I would ask them is we only got Luka and Spencer as our ball handlers. What the fuck are we doing for that, that third spot?
So you mean like who is our third? Or like who's our isn't and Spencer starting? So who's our backup ball handler, right?
Yeah. And I think Frank Ntilikina can develop into that because he's a great defender. Like he shut down the Suns in that series. He shutting down Chris Paul and Devin Booker and shit. But can he develop his playmaking to where like we're all like when Spencer and like if it's Spencer and him, we're not like, oh shit, like this is about to be rough.
Yeah, no, I get it. All right, so like if I had the production powers, I'd cut all this because like you gotta cover the cursing like there's every other word. I got it. But, there's actually a couple of people in the space right now you should follow. They actually host a Mavs room called 77 Spaces.
Yeah. What up, Jose?
Yeah, that is going to be, like, the question for the Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to get that out there. Who is your guard, your first guard off the bench, your backup facilitator?
And as far as players go, I would ask Spencer and Christian Wood, do they think they can develop into the second and third star to take the pressure off of Luka?
All right. We'll get the first one there. Who's the backup facilitator, first guard off the bench? Because I think that's the most important. Because if you don't have somebody who's going to be able to continue the offense, you're going to get stuck, depending on Luka and Spencer. All right, so I got that off. Anybody got any ideas? Do you think it's going to be Frank Nicolita? Nah.
I think it's Josh Green.
You think it's Josh Green?
Yeah.
I think it'd be Josh Green too. I think last season he showed flashes of handling the ball really well, and he can play defense. So I agree with that.
All right, there you go.
Didn't Dallas draft a young point guard like out of the G League or something?
That's Jaden Hardy.
He's a shooting guard.
Oh shit! I forgot about Tyler Dorsey.
Well, Tyler Dorsey wasn't drafted this year. Tyler Dorsey was a free agent. He was on a 10-day. He's also on the Team Greece. They're talking about Hardy from Michigan, who's a combo guard. He's not going to be a facilitator, not yet anyway. He's not a point guard. Think of him right now as Lou Williams-esque, right? Like a 6'3", 6'4". Shooting combo guard, and then he'll round out maybe some secondary facilitating like Jordan Poole, where he gets maybe 4 assists per game. But he's definitely not a point guard. All right, Knight, appreciate the question. We got that question up there. If you have an idea or response to those questions, go ahead, put them up there so we can hear your thoughts. KP, I saw you flash, so I'm pretty sure you got something to say, but I do want to take a break real quick to give a read, and I want to say thank you for everybody who made last week's show about the Boston Celtics Ime Udoka suspension. We appreciate it. We had over 1,000 people either listen or replay that conversation, and had great, outreach afterwards saying that it was a phenomenal job. So I want to take the time to thank Reese Rebel, who's Nat. I want to thank Danny D, who was up there, Iman Adan, who was up there, and Jazz, who was up there, because it was phenomenal. If you are down below and you want a mic, go ahead, raise it. It's a great space for having a good convo just about media days. And if you have a favorite team, now's the time to ask that question, to hear what other people think. If you're in a position where you can't, do what some of you have done at the bottom right. There's a chat box. Throw it up in there, and we'll get it up here for discussion. KP, what you got? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say 2 things. One about Ime, and to people supporting him, stop justifying his wrong deeds because you did something similar and didn't get caught. 1, you didn't get caught. 2, you probably didn't have the power and the influence that he has over the place where you reside or where you worked, and didn't get caught. So what they say, 2 wrongs don't make it right. And stop justifying bad behavior because you did it. Second, a lot of people can't get away with being clean shaven, and Jimmy Butler not only got dumb dreads, he's clean shaven. So stop it, Miami Heat fans. Stop it.
Thank you. I was thinking that, like, what the hell? He tried to look like he was when he was 15? Baby, that look don't look good on you. Stop.
He's like a stalker with dreads.
Yes, what's with the ends of the dress? I mean, does he want to put it up in a ponytail like we used to do the back of the day with the dookie braids? I mean, what's going on here? What's the midlife crisis already?
No, he look. Jimmy Butler is arguably the second best troll in the NBA, right? And I say that because in all perpetuity, nobody trolls better than Kyrie Irving. Right?
No, Kyrie's serious. Kyrie wants to start a Jim Jones cult, but basketball version. And Jimmy just want attention because he got attention in the bubble. He missed that. He thrives on it. He's 10 seconds
when he was in the finals.
He's 10 seconds closer to going to Dr. Miami and getting that BBL because he's trying to see what that does for him.
The problem with that is that Jimmy Butler's gotten attention since his days at Chicago. So like. People perennially discredit Jimmy Butler, but like if you go back a decade, it's hard to pick 15 players better than him. It's hard.
But he's ranked 16 or 17.
Y'all know that Drake song where he had Justin Bieber sub in for him for that video?
No, never heard it.
No,
Well,
you
it
asking
was
the
the.
wrong person.
Well, it was one of like the pop star song by Drake.
Nope.
All right. Well,
We
all right,
don't know. No.
it don't matter. It don't matter. He had Justin Bieber sub in as him in the video. Future's gonna call Jimmy Butler and be like, "Hey, sub in for this video for me."
Okay.
Okay.
Don't be mad that he's younger than me.
Jimmy trying to get us to forget that he missed that 3 that could have propelled them to the finals. That's all that is.
Not. No, he was doing that when he was flexing his coffee and his ice cream. Which, by the way, I have not tried either, but I have talked to several people who have tried the ice cream and they swear by it. Like they say it's the best ice cream they've ever had. So I'm interested in trying it. Micah, your hands up. What do you have? And then we'll get a couple of questions that hit the chat box, and one from JP, the franchise, we'll ask out loud because I want to talk about it.
Okay, yeah. So, first of all, I do agree. Ja is the best player in the WNBA because of what I stated earlier. Dominance on both sides of the ball. And let's go through some names real quick. Kobe, MJ, LeBron. Those are all people that were considered the best player in the league at that time.
How about Larry Bird?
Okay, that's different. That's different. It's a different era, and that's because roles are different in that era. They played like back then.
I'm not going to let him.
You're killing your own argument right now.
See, Larry Bird played defense up until the time that his back didn't allow him to play defense. Like the man averaged 2 steals like 3 times in his career. Right? He averaged, I think, for his career like 1.6 steals per game, and I think it was like 7 defensive rebounds. He just didn't block people. He just wasn't an athletic, rim protector, but he actually was a good defender. Just throw that out.
Not just that. They had like 4.
Robert Parrish was there.
Yeah, they had 4 elite defenders around both of those guys. And it's different when you're asked to carry more of a load for your team that brings winning basketball. Like defense is not focused on like it used to be. That's why you got people like Donovan Mitchell that can be a like straight elite volume scorer, but get cooked by every person walking in the NBA. Yeah, he might get 40, but his man that normally averages 15, he's probably going to get 42. So I'm just saying that side of the ball still matters. And it's the difference between winning basketball. And I'll end with this. Giannis, without his second best player, took the team that went to the finals 7 games down to a buzzer beater. Steph, without Clay, lost in the play-in. They're not the same.
I almost won the lottery. You talk about what almost happened. We can talk about almost all day long. What are we talking about almost for? Talk about what did happen.
Okay, well, what did happen? What did happen? They was a 10 seed missing one. They was a 10 seed missing one member of their core. That's what happened.
I'm gonna let y'all argue on the back end on that. We don't need to rehash that. Both of them are champions. I find the argument that they took the Boston Celtics to 7 without Chris Middleton an actual valid argument, because the question is how good of a chance would the Bucks have had against the Warriors if Chris Middleton was healthy? Like that's the question that Mike is trying to propose. And I think it's a completely different finals if a healthy Milwaukee Bucks team goes against a healthy Golden State. I think that's the argument there. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are down below. I'm going to get the poll out. Giannis is saying he thinks Steph is the best player, but there have been plenty of people who said that Giannis is the best player. You hear 2 of them going back and forth right now. We want to hear what you think. Who's better, Giannis or Steph? I'll get that poll out there. Next up, though, we're going to move up to JP real quick. JP, anything that you have that you want to ask Pat Riley or Coach Spo?
You're talking to me, right?
Yes, John.
All right. Sorry. Well, I just want to ask the Miami guys about what role does the that Highsmith, Jovic, Yurtsvin, uh, with regards to stepping up to what the loss of Markeith Morris and PJ Tucker? Because I think the answer comes, if it's not Jay Crowder, it's coming from those three. So that's one thing. Also, like, are they really like thinking of themselves as a top top tier, second tier in the Eastern Conference? If we're asking this for the Miami guys, right? Then yeah. So that's pretty much it. I'll wait for my Clipper guys though, for
All
sure.
right, cool. So there, we've got a couple for Miami. JF, do you want to take that on? Who fills the 4th spot? We had already asked. I think it's Jay Crowder. I don't understand why they don't figure out the deal. Um, that's just how I see it. And if not, Caleb Martin. And then, do you think Miami is a top tier contender in the Eastern Conference? As the Eastern Conference is basically reloaded and looks absolutely phenomenally deep. And then, who wins 1-on-1, Steph or Giannis? There's your question. JF answer the Miami questions, and we got EK up here. After EK, we'll ask John his Clippers question because we did take a mass question. All right, go ahead, JF. Answer those Miami questions.
Yeah, so I think to worry about what we're gonna do with Marquise Morris gone is dumb because he didn't really even play. He got pushed and never came back. He got pushed out the team, I guess. Uh, to think about Yurtsevin, I mean, he's still there. He's still a factor. We still have our pieces. So when you start to look at the season progress and teams start to see what they need and what they're missing and what they can trade and what's not going well, I think that's when you're going to start to see more trades. I think it's just a dead period right now for the Heat because of the whole get the big fish market with the whole KD and Kyrie situation that put everything on standstill. Moving forward, I think we are going to play with what we have. I believe and trust in our developmental program to get these guys situated and ready for the season. Everybody just needs to stay healthy. I think that was another major factor for the Heat last season is the health and nutrition in the team. Like we had games and stints where we had Kyle Guy, which still won us some games, but still it questions like how deep are we really? So I think moving forward, what the Heat are going to do is just continue what they have. They're going to try to stay young. I don't think they want any older pieces. If they did, they would have gave PJ Tucker a contract and they would have tried to go for a chip this year. But in the direction that they're headed right now, the main pieces that are there right now have a set contract for at least the next 2 to 3 years. We're gonna try and figure out what Tyler Hero and what money we're gonna give him. I think it kind of helped us for him not playing in the playoffs, so he's not asking for no crazy supermax money, and it's something that we are able to facilitate while still being able to pick up somebody like a Jay Crowder within a trade situation, and that's why I think there's a standstill in the Phoenix, just because of the whole Robert Sarver situation and Sarver situation, and also what James Jones is going to do with James Crowder because again they already mentioned that he's going to sit out. I think him to Miami is a done deal, but I'm not sure what pieces Phoenix are willing to take. If they are willing to take somebody, I think they're going to have to settle for somebody like one of our developmental G League players and probably like maybe a swap of picks or something like that. But I think right now, just because it was that big fish market with KD, it was kind of like a troll market. It kind of put us in a standstill. And just knowing the relationship between Pat Riley and Danny Ainge, even though Dwayne Wade was there, I knew that Donovan Mitchell stuff was going to be far from, us getting him. And that was never my main concern. It was always a four. So they did what they had to do in the draft and picking up Jovic, but we'll see how that goes. I just believe in our developmental program as of right now. So I guess that's my answer.
Yeah, the only reason Jay Crowder is not a Miami Heat is the fact that he makes $10 million, and you don't have a contract that the Suns will take back. Duncan is 17 essentially at 4 years, and Caleb Martin is 6.4 at 3. Had Caleb been maybe 1 year, they probably take that and a pick and a young player, but you just don't have a contract to move unless you want to move Victor Oladipo, and I don't see you guys moving Victor Oladipo. Um,
No.
so like that's the problem, and actually you couldn't anyway because you just signed him. He can't be moved until December, and that's the issue, right? Like that's the reason why he's not there. So the only way he'll get there is either a 3-team that involves Duncan Robinson, or what I think eventually ends up happening is he ends up getting bought out because I don't think Phoenix gets any type of offer from anybody because of the contract. And if he gets bought out, I see him going to Miami on a 2.3, 2.7 MLE deal, and he'll be your starting power forward. That's how I see it.
That's what I'm hoping for. I mean, that's still it. Jay Crowder is still a good facilitated player. I mean, he still shows signs that he can still do what he does. I think they underused him for what he was producing in Miami to what his peak could have been in Phoenix. And I think they just missed their window of opportunity in Phoenix, and they just need to let go of the pieces and keep the young core. I think that championship run is done, and they need to like look forward to something else. So that buyout is what I'm really hoping for. But I just don't know what the timeline is for that buyout.
All right. I don't know either, but if he's already saying he's going to sit out camp, it's probably sooner rather than later. All right. Here's some stuff we've got. Should we get Carmelo Anthony for bench scoring since Danilo Gallinari is out? That is from JP. If you remember, they signed Gallinari. I thought it was a fantastic signing, and then he tore his ACL. So I actually say yes. I think this would be a perfect fit for Melo. Who can come in and still gives you 15 to 18 minutes of bench production, scoring specifically from the corner or from the wing and deep. Like we understand, like Gallinari wasn't going to go in there and be a low post presence any more than what Melo would be able to do. So yeah, I think that's a perfect fit. If Melo wants another chance, I think this would be it. Yeah. Shout out to JP. Good question. EK.
My
Go
bad,
ahead.
Chris. I was just asking, what do you think about Melo to Miami?
I don't think it would work. You already like at that point you already have Caleb Martin, and they would produce similarly. And Caleb would be
Caleb is a smaller Melo given his role. Given
yeah,
the role.
yeah, he's a smaller Melo, but like he's still younger and more athletic and a better defender. So like
Also, I think I have issues with Melo defending, and that's a staple in a Miami system. So that might not work necessarily.
yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. You already have Duncan there, and like at this point, if you were to give Duncan Robinson minutes to Melo, they'd probably be putting up the same 39% from the floor, 11, 12 points, 1.9 to 2.9 threes per game.
But the defense.
I don't think either of them play defense. I just think Duncan is younger. Like, yeah. John, you're going to go after EK. We'll get your Clippers up after EK, who's got a phenomenal question in regards to the Houston Rockets. With the loss of Christian Wood and the addition of 4 rookies, do you think that the Rockets can be competitive for the NBA playoffs? And the answer is no. However, can they actually battle in for a play-in? The answer is yes. I think a lot of people are discounting exactly what the Houston Rockets have been able to do a lot because they just don't like the owner, Fertitta. That's just my personal opinion. But make no mistake about it, the Houston Rockets have completely revamped their roster. They're young, they're athletic, and they can score. The question is, can they guard and can they do that consistently? I don't know. EK, what else you got for the Houston Rockets on Media Day?
Good morning, everybody. Happy Media Day to everyone. Love the conversation, by the way. And also, until further notice, we will be calling Jimmy Butler, or either I will be calling Jimmy Butler Jimmy Bundles. So that would be his name for me. No disrespect, but it is what it is. So going back to Houston, I feel like, what you said, Chris, is very plausible. If we look at like the bottom, or what the projected bottom of the West is going to be, with Donovan Mitchell leaving the West or with DeJounte Murray leaving the West, I think that leaves a bit of a window for us to definitely compete for a playing spot. And also because of Christian Wood's ability to rebound and also defend at the rim, we're losing that. But I think with the addition of like guys like Boban and Marquise Chris and guys who are, very serviceable players, I feel like our defense will be a bit improved, but I still feel like we'll probably be at the bottom of the league as far as from a defensive perspective. But obviously, with the new rookies we brought in, Tati, Jabari, Tariq, and also with guys like Josh Christopher and obviously Jalen Green returning, we're definitely going to be able to put up a lot of points. I would be surprised if we aren't at least top 10 in scoring this year and total team scoring and offense. So that's what I've got for the Houston Rockets this year.
So they can't get any worse on defense than they did last year. That's the good news. They gave up 118, or worst in the league. They were 10th in scoring in the Western Conference last year, and I think they can jump up to probably 6th, 7th, or 8th. A lot of it will depend upon the development of Kevin Porter Jr. If he is going to be your point guard, he needs to be far more efficient. He needs to lower the assist to turnover ratio, and he needs to understand that his primary job now is to get Jalen Green in a position to score, Jabari Smith in a position to score, and more importantly, in my opinion, Alperen Sengun in the position to score. Sengun, I think, is going to be an interesting watch. I actually wanted him to be drafted by a couple other teams because I think he's really good. He reminds me of Domantas Sabonis a little bit, so I could see him being able to do like a 15-8 with 4 assists and a steal and a block. And I think if Kevin Porter Jr. and Alperen Sengun can develop a pick and roll game and a two-man game, I think Houston has a great chance to be offensively dynamic. The problem that they have is even though they can't get worse last year than last year defensively, it is kind of hard to see them getting that much better year 2 into this rebuild, especially if they're still going to be rocking Eric Gordon as small forward, which right now that's what they're doing. Love Eric Gordon, but like he needs the fact that they couldn't trade his expiring contract in the offseason boggles my mind. My guess is that they'll just wait until this trade deadline, but I'll shoot for maybe a 30-win season for the Houston Rockets, leapfrogging probably Oklahoma City and San Antonio. So that's what I got.
Yeah, 30 to 35 would be very. I'm optimistic for 35.
I don't see 35, man. Like the Pelicans got 36 last season, and they're loaded.
That's very true.
So like 27 to 30, which would be a 7 to 10 game improvement. Which, by the way, that's really being pro Houston if everything were to go right. Even that is hard. So if you shoot for 25, you'll probably get it. I see San Antonio, Oklahoma slipping, and you'd be fighting Utah, Portland, and Sacramento for the 10, 11, 12. Yep, that's what I got for you. All right.
You think, Chris, that Utah is actually going to be more competitive than people expect?
I think the problem that a lot of people will have with Utah is that they really won't understand what Utah is. And I think what they're going to end up being is a super fast gunning team with pretty good defensive measurables. Like the loss of Gobert is going to hurt, but they really just took the spaghetti on the wall approach, and they picked up a whole bunch of young bigs who are supposed to do nothing but rebound and defend. So they picked up Kessler in the trade. He was rookie out of Auburn, who's basically a Gobert-esque clone, not a really big offensive threat, but should be able to give you 10 boards and 2 blocks. They picked up Vanderbilt in that trade. He's a phenomenal guard 1 through 5 type of big. So, yeah, I think a lot of people are going to say that they're going to drop all the way down. I don't see them dropping all the way down. see them fighting for, one of the play-in spots. Shocker, I know.
I would actually think that either Sangoon or Garuba or the Jabari Smith that they drafted would make for an interesting like young three big rotation there.
Yeah, I don't like I understood the drafting of Garuba last year, but drafting Jabari Smith, that kind of there's no path. They have too many guys like Garuba now where they're going to be fighting for minutes, right? Like you've got Kenyon Martin Jr., who's requesting for a trade, Jashawn Tate, who just signed an extension. Like they're going to have those type of players, but they all fill the same role. Like even Tari Eason is that power forward, small forward, hybrid athletic defender. And that just pushes Usman Garuba out, right? Like you're not going to play him over Tari Eason because Tari Eason is better, right? You're not going to play him over Jabari Smith because you invested the higher draft pick and capital in Jabari Smith, and you're not going to play him over Alperen Sengun because you're going to need him to get all the minutes. So that really leaves 11 to 12 minutes per game, and that's just not enough to develop somebody who still needs development. Like I would put him with the Vipers and give him 30 minutes, just like Charlotte did with Kai Jones. Let him dominate down there, build him up, and then bring him back in a year or two. That's just me. All right,
That's the point, right? With like just doing a John Wall and Eric Gordon at this point.
Well, no, I don't think you do a John Wall with Eric Gordon because you kill the trade value. Eric Gordon is also a consummate pro. He has seen everything from being injured, from being discounted, having to fight back, creating a good, solid career. A lot of people don't remember when he came out of Indiana, like the scouting report on him was like he was going to be one of the next leading scoring guards in the league. And he played well, but he never ascended. You saw him in the Clippers. You've seen him in Houston succeed as a third level player, meaning the third guy on the totem pole. And yet every time that he has been put in the position where he was the guy, like he never really materialized as the guy. But if you were to sit him home, then you run the risk of losing his value. How ready is he going to be? What shape is he in? There's only so much you can do. And I really do think that they're going to use him 24 minutes per game so that come around the trade deadline, they can try to trade up and get an additional first-round pick. That's how I see it. Like the Clippers, by the way, I think will do the same with like Norm Powell and Robert Covington, not this year, but next year. And speaking of the Clippers, that is John's team. We'll talk to John about the Clippers next. But I want to give some shout-outs down below. Emily Austin is in the building. Make sure you shoot her a follow. She is on her way up in the world of the NBA. Did a phenomenal summer tour of Summer League where she got to talk with like Chet Holmgren. Had an amazing video interview, which almost brought tears. She said at one point on a couple of them. So make sure you tap in with her. TJ Kiesel in the Kickback is back in business on Fridays, handling all things shoes. You need to make sure you follow her if you are a sneakerhead, or if you're not a sneakerhead, but like you're like me, and you're really bad with shoe fashion. It's okay to go, follow her and check the page out just for that, right? Like, you don't have to go, but there's a lot of dope information there. Like, I've even used to actually buy a pair of shoes for my son. So make sure you check her out. Also, down below, we want to give a shout out to one of our favorite teachers, that's Sage Monroe. If you are a teacher down below, let us know so we can give you praises because that's a hard-ass job. Like, no sugarcoating. That's hard. All right, back to basketball and the team in LA that is looking to make a revenge tour. That is the Los Angeles Clippers with a healthy Kawhi Leonard being greenlit for 5-on-5. a healthy Paul George coming off of elbow surgery, a healthy John Wall, which I've been saying for over a year that he's healthy. I've seen it. I can't wait for him to get back on the court. And this is coming off of an interview he gave on the Players Tribune where he talks about mental health and how deep he fell. Like it's not a light read or listen. So shout out to John Wall. I want to give him a point. I think they are going to want to take everything out on the Western Conference. And if I was everybody not named the Golden State Warriors, I would be looking out. That's just my opinion. But John, what is your question for Steve Ballmer, Ty Lue, and one Mr. Jerry West in Clipper Nation?
Well, of course, given that we're talking about a team that's ridiculously deep, how would they balance having just 48 minutes a game for like a particular set of guys? How would you balance, for example, having John Wall and Reggie Jackson playing main ball handler, or how would you balance Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, Norman Powell behind Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, or how are you going to balance Robert Covington, Nick Batum, Markieff Morris being basically the de facto 4 and 5s for the squads? How do you balance that conundrum? And I want to see of course, I want to hear the perception of everybody in this room with regards to how they view my squad on the totem pole scale of things.
All right, so to make it a little bit more succinct, I hear, how are you going to balance the minutes with how deep the roster is?
You can say that.
All right. So that's the question, ladies and gentlemen. Question for LA Clippers Media Day. How are you going to balance the minutes with how deep the roster is? So if anybody wants to give their thoughts on that, now would be the time to raise your hand and come on up. Or you can answer the question directly in the chat box down below on the bottom right. All right. I love the Clippers this year. In fact, I have them as the second best team in the West. The best team in the West I have is the Golden State Warriors. Part of that is just kind of erring on the side that they just won the championship. But this is the starting lineup for the Los Angeles Clippers. Point guard, John Wall. Shooting guard, Paul George. Small forward, Kawhi Leonard. Power forward, Nicholas Batum. Center, Ivica Zubac. I think there's actually a chance that Batum heads to the bench and comes off the bench, and they slot Robert Covington in at starting power forward from time to time. Off the bench, and this is where it gets crazy deep. Reggie Jackson, Norman Powell, Marcus Morris, Robert Covington. All four players have averaged 23 minutes or greater in the last couple of years. Marcus Morris had been injured, but then on the bench still, Terrence Mann, who had a phenomenal run 2 years ago when everybody was injured. He doubled it up last year with another impressive year. Jason Preston, a fantastic rookie prospect, more than likely going to get more run in the G League. Brandon Boston Jr., who threw up 20 points per game at one point at the end of last year, also going to be starved for minutes because you still have Luke Kennard, who's still going to end up seeing some play in the rotation unless he's traded. Oh, and then you have Amir Coffey, who earned a contract extension, who also needs to see some minutes. And like, it's just absolutely insane how deep they are. So that's a great question. There you go. That deep they are. What are your thoughts on the Clippers? Do you think that they top the Lakers? Will go to Micah first. Micah, what's up?
So, okay, with the Clippers now, I don't know how they balance all their depth, and to me, it's just that it's like it's always been. It could go one of two ways. Like, if we see like a semblance of 2019 Kawhi, probably make it to the finals. But if they're still having all the injury issues that they've had with Kawhi and Paul George, then we're more than likely looking at somewhere around a fifth seed, first round exit. Like it could go it's so dependent on health with their two main stars, is the way I see it. Like you tell me both of those guys are playing 70 plus games, I see them in the finals. If they're only playing like 40 to 50, like I said before, fifth seed, first round exit. So it's just like it's hard to really gauge where they're going to be based on health, and I really don't know. And maybe that depth is what helps them deal with potential injury concerns. But that's my thoughts on where they're at.
All right. Appreciate it, Micah. I think that was everybody's concern last year, and they still were the better team than the team in the question above. Who is the better team in LA this season? Clippers or Lakers? There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Vote and retweet the poll. It's up top, and I want to take the time now to go ahead and do a read. So I'm going to go ahead and hit mute because that's what I've been told that I need to start doing so that for whatever reason, I can get the read off correctly. I think I do great reads. Most of the time, there's not even anything to read. It's actually what I just think. So, what am I reading today? Well, slamgoods.com again, because that is our only sponsor here. Slamgoods.com is the online marketplace for Slam Online. And if you want to take a trip back in time, you should. And you can do that, right? You can now travel back in time in the world of basketball by going to slamgoods.com and picking up the Rewind series of Slam Magazine. I have the Kobe Bryant trilogy. I am only going to open it out of plastic one time to go through the magazine with gloves on because I'm going to have them framed. And then I also have one of the Rewind series of Allen Iverson. Same thing. It's only going to be out of the plastic one time. Touch it real lightly with the gloves because it's going to be framed. And you can have that experience too. Head over to slamgoods.com, use the promo code HoopSpaces, and take a trip back in time and read how we covered Kobe Bryant, like in his greatness. There you go. Slamgoods.com, home of the pickup card game. You can also use promo code HoopSpaces to save 15% off of the pickup card game, which you should buy. Still some first editions left. You might want to get those now, though, because they're working on the second edition. And you know, after that, you know, it'll be a collector's item. That's what's up. All right, back to some basketball talk. Clippers, Lakers. Who's the better team in LA? We'll go around the horn real quick. We'll go to JFK. Who do you got? Clippers or Lakers?
Clippers.
Danny D. Oh, and by the way, this is assuming health for all teams. Danny D, who you got? Clippers or Lakers?
Oh, Clippers.
Wow. Micah, Clippers or Lakers?
Definitely Clippers.
All
The
right.
Lakers, they're a mess. They're like the opposite of us, of the Mavs. We don't think we need that many guards. They think they need a whole lot. Like over half their roster is guards. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I think it's just going to be cluttered and more of the same of last year. So I think it's looking like LeBron's going to end his career the same way the last two greats did.
All right. He's picking Clippers. We'll go to EK. EK, Clippers or Lakers?
I definitely got the Clippers being better than the Lakers, man. I think just top to bottom, they have a better roster. The roster fits better together. The Lakers really didn't do a whole bunch to get better this year. I feel like they were kind of hanging on the hopes that Kyrie Irving would become available, and when that didn't happen, they were hanging on the hopes that maybe they can get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner from Indiana, and that didn't happen. So now, when you look at the roster, have they improved? I like some of the additions they ended up signing, but for the most part, I don't think they're going to be better than the Clippers. I think the Clippers are better offensively, defensively. They're younger. As far as like the top players on each team, they're younger. And I think they have a better coach. So, yeah, with that being said, I think the Clips clear the Lakers this year.
All right, there you go, John. Like, Full sweep. Everybody said Clippers. How does that make you feel? It's all right. Even John can get the horns, even though he's halfway across the world. All right. There is a couple of Lakers fans down below, and we want to make sure that they are heard.
Sorry, Chris.
Yeah.
I
Bianca
will
says,
take my squad. I will take my squad. Sorry.
all right, no problem. Bianca says Lakers all day. If you don't agree with her, I'd be careful. I've seen her in action. She might tell you why she's right, and I'll laugh because it'll be funny. All right. I think the Lakers are being underwritten, undercounted. Last time they were healthy, they were a formidable team that happened to win a championship in the bubble. I think that Anthony Davis and actually LeBron James are healthy. I think we might want to pay attention. However, I do think that the Clippers are a better team this year. And a lot has to do with outside shooting. I think the Clippers can shoot. I have yet to see who on the Lakers will shoot. So Edwin Garcia, speaking of the Lakers, will be coming up here to give us a point of view that only somebody who covers the Lakers can. Once he's available, we'll let him go. But I don't see consistent outside shooting unless you're relying on Austin Reeves, and that is scary. Edwin Garcia, ladies and gentlemen, you can find him here on Twitter with eCreates88 as the handle, covering the Lakers and Sparks and everything in between. And you can contact him where he does his writing over at LakersTakes.com. Edwin, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. What a wonderful day to talk about Lakers basketball. Isn't it? Isn't it wonderful to talk about Lakers basketball and see how this year goes? I'm excited. I'm with you for the most part. I'm definitely nervous. I don't think you can, the different level of fan cares about this day, right? It's just the BS day, right? What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to go up there, say you're in the best shape of your life. Everyone's on the same page, win a title, blah, blah, blah. But as we know, one of my sayings for Media Day is you can't win Media Day, but you could lose, right? Which is what people are trying to hear when they talk to KD and Kyrie and Russ later on. Do you say the wrong thing, or do you say the honest thing about something that maybe was awkward? So that's what I'm curious about today with the Lakers and the conversations that happen. You're going to get the fluff from people because they're very media trained. But does anything come out? How do certain people answer certain questions? That's what I'm curious about. But I'm looking forward to it. It's the beginning of a process here that we get to actual basketball at the NBA level, which I'm pumped about.
I am too. You gonna say the Clippers are better though? Like that's what we want to hear.
you want to hear the words on the record?
I gotta hear it on wax, man. Like that's the question.
The Clippers are better, yes. They have the same health, concern that I can be a jerk about it, but as you know, I don't like being a jerk about players' injuries because I'm not in a position of power there. So just like we have doubts, they have doubts, right? Like, okay, I keep hearing PG's great and Kawhi's great, but then I hear especially with Kawhi, they leave a little crack open. Will he play? Well, we're gonna talk together. It's like, okay. I mean, you could just say yes. He's in the best health of his life. He can play in 2 weeks, but they won't commit to it. So it is one of those we shall see. But as you know, with both AD and especially Kawhi and PG, it's going to be, if you're a skeptic, you're going to stay a skeptic until the whole season's over anyway. So we're just going to have to write it out, and I hope everyone's healthy. That's what I always hope for. I hope, Kawhi and PG play at least 60 games, and they can choke again like they did the last time they had that opportunity.
All right. I love it. I love the positive spin. I love the deflection. And I love for the fact that, at least for this season, it appears that we will have a robust Clippers versus Lakers discussion. Because I think, like me, Edwin, you will agree that a lot of people are counting the Lakers off, right? If the Lakers are healthy, and what that means is if Anthony Davis and LeBron James are healthy, it's a different Lakers team. My question to you is, what question do you have for Jeannie Buss, Rob Pelinka, or Darvin Ham for Lakers Media Day.
My goodness, that's a big thing. I think if I could talk to Darvin Ham, I would probably ask him more about his motion offense. You know, the four out, one in. I've been studying that all summer. Haven't actually made it into an article, which I'm kind of frustrated by. But also, I've done a lot of. I watched so much Villanova basketball this offseason and just studied so much. You know, pen and paper, old school. You know, looking at formations, looking at how centers are utilized, all that. So I would love to ask him some questions about that offense. I think that's something that can unlock the best version of AD and perhaps Russ, because you know LeBron's LeBron. You know, you're just gonna move him around. He's still gonna be as effective, I think. So I would love to ask him about that. Love to ask him about how he's gonna actually get the best out of Russ. I've heard some things, and I'll be listening for things today. I heard a lot about shooting in the corner, getting him off the ball. How does getting Russ off the ball make him better? Especially in an offense that's dependent on good three-point shooting. I find that curious. With Jeannie, I don't know. I would have to think about it because I know she's not going to answer. Again, it's the day, right? She's not going to answer anything about trade rumors or anything. I guess I would probably ask Pelinka. He said that we're not done a couple weeks ago. And since then, he's made incredibly small moves that no one would consider an implication of, and this is we're done. So I would probably ask him about that. Everybody knows the elephant in the room with Russ, and do they move him? Does it work? We all know the trades, and I won't get too much into that stuff because I know a lot of stuff. So probably better I don't say much. But I mean, at the end of the day, as you've mentioned, I've mentioned that to people as well. When it's been Russ City, all summer long, and I told people all year, I'm like, at the end of the day, the most likely thing is he comes back because he's still under contract, and it takes two to make a trade. And until there's an actual trade, anyone can back out and add more to a list, and et cetera, et cetera. So the more likely thing is he's back until they actually announce, hey, we're making a move, and that's why he's still on it. Personally, I do like Russ. I'm obviously rooting for him. I would have preferred if he moved, but I understand there's a lot of aspects, including another team agreeing to a trade. It's not like, I think sometimes Laker fans think, well, they could just do this. And I'm like, and who told you they would even accept that? Like, it's a tough thing to move a star player. In case you didn't notice, there were several players requesting trades, and they didn't get moved. So, you mentioned earlier not being able to move Gordon. We know we couldn't move KD. We couldn't move Kyrie. So I don't know why people are so shocked when it comes to Russ that it didn't happen. There's a lot of trades this offseason that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, there's a whole bunch of trades that didn't happen, and like we're left with wondering, were they even real trades to begin with, right? And nobody ever wants to talk about that aspect because it means that we were wrong. One of the trades that apparently we were wrong about was the trade with Miles Turner and Buddy Hield for Russell Westbrook and two first round picks. I'm hearing it was way more complicated, which is why it never really got legs. And had there been two other teams, maybe we're talking something different. That's how complicated it was, is what I was hearing. But that's not sexy. Like, we want entertainment. We don't want, man, that contract really is hard to move, right? And I think that's what a lot of people did, is they just said, hey, we're going to blame Russ because, well, his contract. And that's why, we're in the position we're in. When if you actually just look objectively, he had a successful campaign for the Los Angeles Lakers. I had already put up in a tweet, a lot of people, they don't like the fact he was the most consistent player. He was there every game except the games they told him not to play. Like, they had to tell him not to play. Already out of the playoffs, they had to tell him not to play. Not like, hey, you're sitting. No, they literally had to have 5 different people tell him, you're not playing for the rest of the season. That's how much he wanted to play. And he did well. He just missed some layups. All right. If you have questions down below that you want to ask for the Los Angeles Lakers Media Day. Go ahead and put that out there because I guarantee you somebody is seeing these questions. I guarantee you that someone is seeing these questions in this the show thread here. Guarantee you. John, what do you have?
Hey Edwin, how are they going to replace Melo with in the Lakers on the rotation wise?
I don't think Melo's as I think the idea is more where you're going to get more forward time, more so than just it being Melo. Because I think if they really wanted to bring Melo back, I mean he's clearly still available. They could scoop him up. But I think the problem is with Melo, he was great. I loved having Carmelo Anthony on my team. But I think what was really an eye opener for me was watching the playoffs, and I thought to myself, could he stay on the floor like this? And the answer is no, because of defensive liability. So I think they're more focused on can they get a dynamic, forward slash, wing, which they do not have right now, to kind of do that. I don't know if the idea is for Austin Reeves to take up a bigger role. I think he already had an incredibly big role for where he's at right now. So I'm kind of nervous about, hey, let's give Reeves more run. I'm like, he's a good try-hard guy, but he wasn't very strong. You can kind of move him easily. And I'm a little nervous about giving him more time in the West. So I think that might be the idea. We saw they picked up a couple forwards, in the last 48 hours. I think they're kind of running low on options there. So I'm not sure who they'll replace him with other than Reeves right now. But I'm guessing that even though they might not be the sexiest moves, I think there will be a couple moves in the next coming days to try to get some competition there at the small forward position.
Yeah, Cole Swider, ladies and gentlemen.
Like
Swider.
Like I'm looking at the roster, and like you have like Troy Brown, Juan Toscano Anderson, and Lonnie Walker, like basically serving as the backup minutes to LeBron James and AD at the 4 spot. So like,
well,
I don't know about giving LeBron like
Lonnie Walker was signed to do two things: to give depth at the 2 first, right, and then to be another potential ball handling guard for the motion offense. Like, don't pay attention to where the depth chart is because like they've got Troy Brown Jr., Winyan Gabriel, and Juan Toscano Anderson all listed at the 4 ahead of Lonnie Walker. It's just saying that Lonnie Walker might be out there on a 4-guard lineup. Is all it's saying. That he's not trying to. It's hard because we're going to positionless basketball, yet we still have the bias of positions. Is essentially what's happening in Los Angeles right now.
Yeah, especially with the 4-out offense, a lot of times you'll see, what's considered the 4 at the top of the key, which is normally not where you want the 4, but we also know AD likes to move there. So, yeah, it definitely is. To me, the only position that's kind of still there in this new set offense is the primary ball handler, the point guard at 1, and probably the center at 5 because they spend more time in the post. Everything else is kind of like Chris said, positionless, because the goal is still you're either going to be slotted at the top or on the corners, on both ends at the 3-point line. So everything's still surrounded around a point of attack and the corner edges for threes, except for the center position. That's the person who's going to be able to get your rebounds, score from the post, run weak side action. That's going to be their job. So that's probably the only distinct one here. It's kind of an interesting logic where everyone who can be positionless is, except the center, which matters, which is why I think, the Damian Jones, Thomas Bryant competition is going to be really interesting. I think they'll actually kind of just split time there. I don't think it matters who starts. Obviously, I know they care, but I think minute-wise, you'll probably see 25, 24, 26, 23 between the two of them. But it'll be interesting to see who can kind of shine the best with AD, LeBron, and Russ if Russ starts as the center in Ham's new system.
And at the end of the day, AD plays the 5 at the end of games on the offense, right? So you'll have to account for that. So that's around 2028.
Look, I'm just putting this name out here. Jay Huff.
I like Jay Huff a lot.
Is he the West Coast version of our guy Luke?
That is right.
I'll tell you
Luke
something.
Cornett 2.0.
I'll tell you something, Chris. That not only like 2 people on the planet know he's not as good as that, but it's a good sensationalized comment, but I wrote a preview for SB Nation, their silver screen and roll site, on the Lakers Summer League. And I put in there that my comp for Jay Huff was Ayton as a player who could rise. Yes, and you can imagine they were like, whoa, you can't say that. That's a little too high. I'm like, I don't mean it's gonna be Ayton. I'm just saying like I see the upside, And they're like, maybe let's change the word. So we edited that part out. But then of course he balled out all summer league, and I'm like, I should have kept the Ayton line in there. I would have looked like a genius. So I like hearing you say that. I'm a big Jay Huff fan. I don't think he's as good as DeAndre Ayton, but that was kind of my compass to like he has a big ceiling. I think people are underestimating him. So I like Jay Huff. I don't know if that's enough
Look,
or that's too much. But
I said he was a more athletic Frank Kaminsky. So
that's probably more realistic. Yes.
So like, well, he crushed in G League last year. Like he was averaging 17 and 10 with 2 blocks and a steal, I think, something like that. But like, because I remember, because Lakers Guru was like, we got to get Jay Huff minutes, and I'm sitting here like, yeah, you lost, you quit on the season.
He's a great finisher as well. He's a really athletic finisher at the rim. He's really good at that. So we'll see.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you had Cole Swider or Jay Huff on your morning Hoop Spaces bingo card, you give yourself a couple of points. And by the way, I have tried to create this NFT bingo card for the show. It is not as easy as I had thought it would be. Bingo cards for what I'm trying to do, apparently, like they're difficult because you have to be able to construct it in a way that you'd be able to ensure future conversations that these words will be used. And without just using names, it makes it more difficult. If you just use names, it actually makes it really easy, but then people can just randomly, there's only 448 names. So we're trying to figure it out. It's an interesting puzzle. So look forward to Hoop Spaces Bingo coming to the show, as soon as possible. EK, your hand's been up for a minute. Appreciate your patience. What do you got?
Yeah. I just wanted to ask Edwin, in regards to the Lakers, we're going to talk about them throughout the entirety of the season because they create parity, regardless of where they end up, regardless if they win a whole bunch of games or lose a whole bunch of games. But my question is, because last year, a lot of the Lakers' issues obviously were on the court, but I think that stemmed from inconsistency and not having lineups that were consistent. And I think Frank Vogel, at the beginning of last year, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he may have panicked a little bit because they started to struggle throughout the first part of the season, and then they had injuries, and he was switching up the lineups almost every game, it seemed like. So my question is, do you think if the Lakers can have a consistent sort of 7 to 8 man rotation, do you think that that's going to improve their wins by maybe 10-ish games?
I think consistency for any team is key, unless you're an incredibly veteran team with veteran leadership that can withstand those kinds of radical changes. I think Vogel wanted to keep things the same. He's kind of a stubborn coach that way. It's funny because, when I hear Laker fans, they actually have the opposite argument. They're like, he didn't do this enough, or he should have went to this first. But the problem with that was, they were losing so much that he had to try something else because he was in a hot seat all season. Like I heard, and I confirmed with people I know, because I heard around Christmas time, which was like 2 weeks into the season, that he might get let go. And then I didn't believe it, and I heard it from someone who would know. So I asked someone else who would know, hey, is it true he's in trouble? And they're like, it could be anything. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, oh my God. As you know, he survived the whole season. Again, rumors are just rumors until they're confirmed. But the fact that it was 2 people told me he is hanging on by a thread on Halloween, and he lasted the whole season. He had so much, like you said, on-court, off-court issues. Obviously, it was a hostile work environment. And he was trying to find a way to make it work and keep his job. It's a miracle. I don't know how he survived the whole season, given that people wanted him out, on October 31st, and the team didn't make the play-in even. So I think consistency is key. That comes with health, and that comes with having an established, hierarchy and establishing, the roster depth, at least as best you can at first. Obviously, if you get new information, that's one thing we all hate about coaches. When you see a player clearly outplaying another and you just refuse to move them up because you have this idea of what a depth chart is. But I think we'll see. Ham's a new coach. I know a little bit about his style, but it's different when someone's an assistant versus a head coach. He might switch up on you completely because now he has that authority to. I do know so far the Lakers have given him all authority, and he has the ability to do everything. And he's gonna be put to the test pretty quickly on that, right? Because he says that he can do whatever he wants, and he's got the support. And we'll see if things start to change. Does he actually have the power to potentially bench Russ? Does he actually have the power to do this and do that? So I'll be very curious to see that as the season goes on. I think if they're healthy, they definitely can improve 10 games. Unfortunately, that's not saying much. They had a bad year. But I think that last year's bad season was a little overrated because, yeah, it was a bad season, of course. It was historically bad for an organization like theirs. But at the end of the day, they didn't want to play in the play-in. So they did phone it in at the end. And I don't say lose on purpose, but you could just tell they didn't want to fight for a spot just to lose in the first round, and they played like it. I don't think you'll get any of that this year. It's a new team. It's a younger team and a hungry young coach. So I think just that alone will have them improving easily where I'm not really concerned about getting a playing spot. I'm more hoping they can somehow get a top 6 spot, which is tough to do in the West right now.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that because speaking with some people that I know last year regarding, your Lakers, I thought a lot of it just had to do with the fact that AD, Russ, and Brown really didn't play a lot together last year. I mean, I think they played, 21 games together last year? Like, they didn't play together at all.
Well,
and it's not – go ahead. I'm sorry.
The biggest key is only 2 teams at the end of the year finished worse than the Lakers. And that was the Pacers and the Trailblazers. They went 0-10, and the Lakers went 2-8, right? And that was actually a winnable end of the season. Like, they should have finished the minimum 500. And had they finished at a minimum of 500, they were in the 10th spot or 9th spot, either with the Clippers or placing the Spurs. So, like, we can't take anything from the end of the season because they literally did shut it down. Like, they just stopped. And they also did it because the majority of the games were away.
Exactly.
And they were by and far the worst away Lakers team in over a decade, I think. They were like 12. Go ahead, finish up your thought. I got about 10 minutes, and I got a couple more people I want to get to.
Cool, yeah. Well, to respond to your point, Chris, and thank you so much for your insight, I think they were in that position because, like I said, the consistency wasn't there throughout the entirety of the year. So towards the end of the year, they found themselves in a position where they are potentially battling for a playing spot. And like you said, they sort of mailed it in. But I feel like if the consistency would have been there, especially with the top 3 players, they wouldn't have been in that position. I feel like they would have been better, right? Although Russ isn't a natural fit, those are 3 great first ballot Hall of Famers. So if you give them time, in my opinion, if you give them time to figure out how to play with each other, I think over the course of the season, if they play together consistently, they'll figure out a way to play with each other to the point where they can actually win games. And because they weren't able to play together last year, along with a host of other issues, I think that's why they were in the position they were in towards the end of the year, which kind of lends itself to your point. But that's all I have to say on the Lakers. And even though I think the Clippers are going to be better, I do think the Lakers will be improved. So,
all right, Miami Merchant. For some reason, whatever, I cannot get you up. It says connecting, so you'll probably have to leave and come back. We got 10 minutes until the end of the show, but don't worry because next week starts preseason. And as long as there are games, we'll have more stuff to talk about. The full Monday through Friday 10 to 1 show returns on the very first week, very first day of the season. That allows me to get some things done that I just want to make sure that I don't have to worry about in the future. It takes a lot to run this every day. So I do want to take some time before we get ready to close out to thank a couple of people. Hoop Spaces Ryan, who does come in from time to time, takes care of some stuff on the back end. He'll actually be doing some stuff, upgrading the website for the remainder of the offseason. That's what he's kind of been working on. The Eastern Conference previews will be up there, and we'll do the Western Conference. I'll get that done to get up by Friday. So that's pretty cool. The other thing is, like I said before, there's a newsletter coming. We'll target a soft launch sometime next week or so. So get ready for that. And if you're a content creator and you have, writing and publications that you want, keep your eye open because there is going to be a pathway fairly soon where we'll be able to get written content up and become essentially a full-fledged user-operated entity. All right. With that being said, I can't pay none of y'all because we're doing all of this out of the goodwill and love and passion of the game. There might be a chance in the future, though, where we will actually start doing our first hires if we're able to be picked up by a bigger entity, which is a possibility. All right, there. So that's some administrative in-house stuff to get out. We'll go to Micah. Micah, we are entering the closeout portion. I want to make sure that I give Mark some time, so you got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
All right. So just first of all, in my opinion, I think Frank Vogel was set up for failure by getting rid of all their defenders for something that looked a little bit more sexy. That's just my opinion. And last thing, I think I could say this as a recovering Cowboys fan. Pumpkin spice latte is the Dallas Cowboys of coffee, an overhyped cup of disappointment. That's my closing statement.
Give the man an extra point for telling the truth. Man, that is just the truth. I agree 100%. The Dallas Cowboys are the pumpkin spice lattes of sports. Nothing but bitter disappointment after like a 2-year run. Love it. We'll go to T-Rex up next. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the man, the myth, the legend of Nets Twitter, T-Rexy. What's up, man? I'll give you 30 seconds. What are your thoughts on NBA Media Days and what you got for us today?
Yeah, man, how you doing? Yeah, I just watched the Nets Media Day with the Big Three. Yeah, I like how the Big Three answered the question of honesty with KD. Like, they should be losing 11 games, losing streak. With Kyrie, he being honest himself about being there for the team. And Benson was mental helpless. All I have to say, fuck Nick Fidel. He tried to be sneaky with Benson with stupid ass questions about mental health. That's all I have to say. And one more thing, Jimmy Winston, as a Saints fan, get your shit together. That was embarrassing yesterday.
All right, T-Rexy, I appreciate you coming through, and I can't wait to catch you up on Net Spaces with Saint and Nets Kingdom AJ, Brandon, and Malika. It's going to be a great year. And look, if you like basketball, like really like basketball, you got to check out the team rooms that we do. You get the other team's perspective from the fans. And I think that can be far more entertaining than the same, 3 people every morning. All right, JFK, 30 seconds, go.
Oh, trying to come off the mic. All right, cool, Chris. Yeah, so I just want to say, once you're an established Heat player, you can go ahead and go drop your businesses. So shouts out to Jimmy Butler. I know he's going to start his bundle business. And I know his first couple customers is probably going to be Rihanna for that Super Bowl halftime show. And I'm looking forward for that, Chris. Appreciate it.
Shout out to Rihanna. You get that bag. I just hate the fact that bag is coming at the worst halftime show in all professional sports. Like the Super Bowl. Look, I'm sorry, man. The Super Bowl halftime parties is like fries. You get like one good batch every 20 years.
I was getting scared that they were going to actually put Taylor Swift out there. I heard rumors. I was really about to boycott the Super Bowl off of that, but they saved it with Rihanna. Hopefully she drops her album. I've been waiting too damn long. Appreciate it, Chris.
Yeah, no problem. I got nothing against Taylor Swift. Apparently, like, she's popular. I don't know any of her songs. Like, I mean,
I don't think Taylor Swift is your demographic though.
Bro, like nothing is apparently my demographic.
Nah, I know what your demographic is, Chris.
Do you? Because I don't even know, man. Somebody tried to play God, I don't even know the dude's name. And I was just like listening in this car, and I'm like, yo, you listen to this every day? Like, I'm bad with music. Don't ask me about your favorite rapper, because I don't know your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. And I'm just gonna tell you your favorite rapper probably sucks. Danny, what's up? Close us out, Danny. What do you got for us?
Well, I'm looking forward to this season. I enjoyed my media day yesterday. Steph's arms are sexy. God dang. It's just so good. I can't wait to
You are
see.
you are
Huh?
single-handedly going to make me find like a cold water sound effect.
Oh, you can. Go ahead. I'm just looking forward to the season. I'm just looking forward to watching Laker fans cry in misery. I respect the Clippers and what they're trying to do. I don't fear you, but I respect you. I see you trying to come up in the background, trying to shake us. But okay, Clippers, we'll see. I'm just looking forward to NBA season. I just can't wait for it to start. I'm still on a high from my Aces winning. Uh, Asia dominance still continuing. It's been a great year for me. I hope it'll be a great season. And good luck to everybody. And Kyrie is on some cult stuff. Thank you.
Oh man, it's gonna be a fun season, ladies and gentlemen. John, JP, 30 seconds. Then we got Edwin Garcia of Lakers Takes. He'll get 30 seconds, and then we'll have a good 5 minute convo with Mark. John, go ahead.
All right. Just letting you know, basketball never stops. So let's give our props to the women, the USA women, for breaking a World Cup scoring record earlier today. They scored 145 in their win over Korea. I want to give props to all the players competing in the FIBA World Cup. There's a big game tomorrow. I think China and Belgium will face off to be who will determine the two seed there in the grouping. And then on the other side, we have Australia versus Japan and Serbia versus France. So Yvonne Anderson versus Gabby Williams is a good matchup. We're excited for that. I mean, let's put our props to the women. I believe it's on ESPN Plus on your end of the woods. So make sure if you have that, get a chance to watch it. It's late. I know it's late because it's on my side of the ocean. So, let's give our props to the women. All right. See y'all.
All right. The next game for USA, by the way, is versus Bosnia Herzegovina, and I think let's see, today's Monday, so tomorrow night midnight, because it should be like Wednesday morning. There you go. So there, if you want, make sure tomorrow at midnight, and I believe the replay is up.
No, not tomorrow midnight.
What?
To Tuesday midnight, 11 Central. They
That,
play again
that
today.
what's tomorrow?
I guess Wednesday for them. I guess you might be right. Tuesday for us. I don't know, but I know it's 11 o'clock
Well,
tonight for
yeah,
me.
tomorrow is Tuesday. It'll be tomorrow. It'll hit midnight. So Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday for okay. Never mind. Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
It's later, guys. It's later for me. So, yeah, it's later. So you adjust your clocks.
Yes. Still going to be a good game. We will likely, win like 135 to 74. Edwin, what do you got for your last take for today?
It's, again, like I said, just don't lose media day, Lakers. You can't win. Just don't lose. I hope no one says anything too crazy. It's a time of positivity and just sharing the good vibes. Everyone's starting at the same record, so let's see what people say. Can't wait to hear Ham speak and Palenka, who was supposed to speak last week and then canceled and said I'll speak at media day, which was also very weird. So looking forward to that. Make sure you're following me for all the Lakers coverage. I'll be doing all I can on media day and training camp, and we're getting started. So I'm really looking forward to this season. It's gonna be awesome, and hopefully it comes with a lot of Lakers success. But I think we can all agree the NBA is more interesting when the Lakers are good.
Yeah, or when they're bad. Like either way, they're going to draw numbers. Like I don't think we're disputing that. Like I remember the Dell Harris years. Like I was ecstatic. I remember when Kurt Rambis was walking up and down yelling at refs from the sideline. Nothing made me happier. Like I was like, damn, y'all fell off that bad? Kurt Rambis? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the best trainers in the game. You can catch him, flying around the country, Monstar Labs, Midwest, teaching the good folks of the NBA how to shoot properly. But he explains to you it's not necessarily a physical linear process, but a philosophy. And those who get it, and they take it and they excel, just like he does in training. Mark, good morning. It's good to see you. I know you are ready for another season of NBA action. We'll let you go ahead and tell us where you want to go, man. We've been talking media days, projections. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about that Clippers roster, which, man, that might be one of the deepest rosters I've seen in NBA history. When you sit back and look at those names on that list, and guys still have fuel in their tank, but is that roster good enough to beat that Golden State Warrior team? Because I saw the team. I saw Golden State, I saw the pieces, and it's amazing. It's a team that on any given night, you got 4 guys that can drop 25 points, and you just don't know where it's going to come from. So that right there in itself is crazy. But that Clippers roster, like, wow. And the new Kawhi is like RoboCop for real. New Kawhi. The Thunder Thighs is a real thing. It's a real thing.
Defensive end, man. Like, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, put on another 20 and go suit up for the Rams.
Yeah. He's all muscle, super focused. He's just so strong now. My question is still going to be his durability. Because just because, he's in great shape doesn't mean his body's going to be able to withstand that 82 game season, 100 plus flights, in a 9-month period. The Laker team is done. I mean, the Phoenix, I don't know what's going on with them. They're about to buy out Jay Crowder. The West is going to be a mess this year. So I'm curious to think who's going to come out the West, because you still got Dallas and you still got Memphis. So the Wild Wild West is going to be dominant. I'm just, who's going to shoot themselves in the foot first? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, let me answer that. But first, I want to get to your point, because I said the same thing about the Clippers. Here are 5 players that aren't starting for the Clippers. Marcus Morris had 29 minutes per game. He averaged 15, 4, and 2 on 43% shooting. Norman Powell had 32 minutes per game. By the way, he played off the bench and started for both Toronto and Portland, averaging 19, 3, and 2. Reggie Jackson last season had 31 minutes per game, averaging 17, 4, and 5. Robert Covington had 27 minutes per game, 9, 6, 1, 1, and 1. Luke Kennard, who was on the bench, 27 minutes, 12, 3, and 2. Those are 5 players who would be spot 6, 7, and 8 for literally 27 other teams. It's insane.
Damn.
Insane. Like Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey, Brandon Boston Jr., where are your minutes coming from? Like, they're stacked. It's sick. And the killer part, I think they are the players come trade deadline. I think they are the people who say, you know what? Thank you, Marcus Morris, for everything you did. Appreciate you, Norman Powell, for what you did when we were down bad with injuries. But, your 2 salaries combined equal $34 million. Let's go get that other star to go with John Wall, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard. So I'm high on the Clippers, Mark. I'm not lying. What are your thoughts now?
Is Ty Lue good enough of a coach to manage those minutes and expectations? I think he's a good coach, but that right there is about management.
He coached LeBron to the championship, right?
It don't matter. I agree with what he just says. Can he manage that team? Can he manage the minutes? Because it's about chemistry. You can look good on paper, but that don't mean that person can manage it.
Exactly. That's the point. It's about game management, it's team management, minute management, and then those players' expectations, because every player we named, those are some really good guys. Some real good second tier guys as well. I mean, you think of Luke Kennard, who's an elite shooter, but you couldn't get him on the floor in the playoffs. What's going on?
It's
how?
Let me get two other people. JF had his hand up. Jay wants to come up. Let me get their thoughts because they responded to something you said, and then we'll close out with you. After that, nobody else will be up, but Mark and myself. JFK, go ahead, and then Jay the Wakanda.
Appreciate it, Chris. So yeah, we talking about the Clippers, and obviously what they have, they seem like a real contender. Even with that coach Ty Lue, I still think he'll be able to figure it out. I just had a quick concern, and it probably take like 30 seconds. What do you think moving forward is going to happen with the Boston Celtics without Ime? Because I missed majority of last show, so I just wanted to get like a 30-second synopsis.
They are actually deep enough where I believe every player that is returning and able to play, they're going to be able to kind of coalesce and do this bubble us against the world in terms of like media coverage because they're going to get asked all the time until everything eventually comes out. And it's going to be up to Joe Mazzulla to be able to keep that contained inside, right? But if one player
Who's the coach?
breaks, the coach.
Who's the coach?
Mazzulla. I know, like a lot of people know, but I know, like let me finish, and then you can laugh about it. He's going to need to be able to look at every player and say, if we want to win and get back to the finals, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to focus on. No distractions. But then he's going to have to be able to bang that no distraction drum 82 times, 110 flights, 200 practices and team events. And the question is, can he do that? And the answer is, I don't know.
So, Chris, I was speaking more towards like if he were to have that head-to-head matchup in the series against Spoelstra, would he be able to overcome with adjustments like Ime did? Or do you still think it might be some growing pains? Because Ime does come from a different tree compared to Joe Mazzulla. So that's why I have more faith in Ime than I do in whoever their assistant is.
I think we're going to see a Jason Tatum ran offense. Let me just put it that way. And I'll leave it there. I think you'll see Malcolm Brogdon and Marcus Smart step up and run a more traditional offense. But I think the biggest issue that Boston will have is Jason Tatum will just he will end up absorbing the vacuum. If you understand what I'm saying, Mark, what are your thoughts?
I agree. Adding Malcolm Brogdon, who's a kid I trained in high school, is amazing on the defensive side. And the fact that he runs the pick and roll really well. They want to play half court basketball in Boston. And I think it's going to be interesting. My question is going to be, the bigs, because now you're playing Jason Tatum at a small four. You know what I'm saying? A small ball four, so that's going to be interesting defensively, what they're going to do. Ime was the battery in their back defensively. I'm curious to see how they're going to react defensively. That's going to be it, because adding that extra defensive presence, but not as much size anymore. I'm just curious. I'm curious because, like we said, player management is going to be so important right now. And then can they keep that defensive theme? Because that was, like I said, that was their thing. That's they rest their hats on that defense. So that's going to be curious.
Especially with Robert Williams.
I'm excited.
Christmas.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see the NBA back again.
I am too. Jay, the Wakanda Tech Support, hop up in here, get your take and question, and then we'll close out with Mark Edwards. Everybody, good morning.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Chris, for letting me up. It's been a great space. I enjoy listening. I think the Clippers minutes thing is overblown because they're going to load manage all year, but that roster is so deep that it allows them to give the second game of a back-to-back their best shot. It allows them to give, the third game in 5 nights their best shot, even while load managing. And so I think what you're going to see from Tyronn Lue, at least for the first 30 games, is a lot of experimentation, a lot of minutes and lineups combinations, and then they're going to give all that data to their analytical department, and they're going to make a decision. Now, whether or not they do a trade at the deadline, I think that depends on how injuries and, as Mike Tyson said, what does the plan look like after they've been hit a couple of times? But on paper, I think the plan is to keep this team together until the playoffs, because the other thing that having a roster this deep allowed you to do is it allowed you to play really, really physical with the Warriors and not worry about foul trouble. And I think that's the Clippers' plan for a playoff series. My question for the Clippers would be, are they going to chase the 1 seed so that when they play that pivotal game 5, that pivotal game 7, will it be at home? And that would be my question for the Clippers. Or are they just trying to win, 55 games and make sure everybody's not hurt?
Oh, I guarantee you they're going 55 games and nobody hurt. I guarantee you. Even Jerry West already started saying it back in summer league. Like the
Right.
moment that when he was asked what do you see as the best outcome, and I think he said 65 games of John Wall, PG, and Kawhi, essentially.
Right.
So they're already going in knowing that they're sitting them 17.
Right. Yeah.
Mark, he brings up a good point. They have the bodies to play physical. With the Golden State Warriors, not necessarily worry about foul trouble. Me personally, I am of the mind of a front office type. I honestly believe Jerry West is going to shock the Western Conference and pull a rabbit out of his hat and combine 2 or 3 players with salaries to get a max player. That is what I think he is going to do. I think it will be successful, and I think we have a Golden State Warriors and a potentially dangerous Clippers team possibly meeting in the Western Conference Finals. That is my way too early hot take. What do you think?
But which max player?
Don't worry. I got to save that for the next hot take.
I mean, looking at this Clippers roster, you have 10 players on here that, can get minutes, big minutes on any NBA team. And I just don't know how you play them. I just know because there's something you always have to worry about is chemistry. So it has to be done perfectly so that by the end of the season they're running on all cylinders. But then also, is this a high scoring team? Like, I'm just curious. I mean, I'm really curious because just who's going to start, Reggie Jackson or John Wall at the point? Who is the veteran that's going to be willing to take that second seat in the regular season and then have to deal with his minutes being restricted in the playoffs as well? Because you still got to deal with NBA egos. That's the biggest thing we're talking about. So if you have a 10-player lineup where these guys could be possible starters on any NBA team, who's going to take that backseat in the playoffs? When you have younger players, playing in the playoffs, it's easy to tell them, oh, okay, cool, we're going to give you 12, 15 minutes or whatever. Is John Wall going to go for 12 to 15 minutes in the playoffs? Is Reggie Jackson going to go for that? When we know he's still hunting for another big contract or whatever. Now, we know we ain't got to play Brandon Boston, Moses Brown, Amir Coffey. We don't got to play those guys. But Rob Covington's got to play. Batum's got to play. Paul George, of course. Kennard, Kawhi, Terrence Mann has come back. He's put on like 15 pounds of muscle. Looks really good. Marcus Morris, you got to play him. Norman Powell is a defensive presence and finisher. Like, this is a squad. This is going to be some amazing. And wait, what about Zubac? He's still serviceable. So this is going to be an amazing coaching job. But then nobody's talking about the Denver Nuggets with Jamal Murray back healthy.
We'll be saving that probably for Friday and also
Yeah.
next week when we get into the Western Conference.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
The biggest, I think, the biggest part about Denver is Michael Porter Jr. But again, we'll get into that.
Mhm.
Wednesday, we'll be back. We will be breaking down all of the Eastern Conference NBA teams. So make sure you come in ready with your questions. I will have answers. Mark will have answers if he's here. Everybody will have answers. The question is who will be right. Also, on Wednesday, we'll give you some more information about possibly teaming up with Fan Tracks for another year of Hoop Spaces fantasy basketball. And that's all I got until Friday at 6 a.m. It's gonna be dope. Mark, give us something positive on the way out here. Yeah, give us something positive to help make this a great Monday for everybody.
Wiseman looks good. Golden State Warriors are going to have a rim protector for the first time since Andrew Bogut. Klay Thompson looks in amazing shape, running, catching, shooting. Steph has been working like a madman all season. Jordan Poole, we had a great month, in San Fran. Added 10 pounds of muscle, 12 pounds of muscle. He'll probably shave 5 of those pounds off and keep it as lean muscle. That team is going to be a juggernaut. This is going to be probably one of the more exciting NBA seasons we've had in a long time because of all these top teams or whatever. So there's going to be some storylines, some narratives created out here early that are going to be amazing. Lakers, I don't know what they're doing there. It looks like the old man retirement squad. Is Carmelo Anthony playing basketball this year? There's a lot, man. There's a lot going on, man. I can't give you the perfect take to end this. All I can say is that this is going to be an amazing season, and I can't wait. I can't wait.
No, that's good enough. Like I love it. This shows is phenomenal. Like I've got nothing but positive feedback from you, the listener, and like more importantly, random people who just happen to find us. I want to say thank you as you hear the music because I'm like 18 minutes over. Brought to you by Slam Goods, ladies and gentlemen. Slamgoods.com is where you can find them. There's a tweet up there already. It's hoodie season, and I'm telling you now, if your significant other isn't wearing your hoodie, you need to step up your game. All right. And go over to slamgoods.com now. They've got 5 different hoodies that are actually on sale. And you can use the promo code HoopSpaces to get an additional 15% off of that. Did you know that, Mark? 15%.
I'm about to get out there.
There you go. That's all we can ask for because, that's what we do.
What's the website?
Slamgoods.com.
Slamgoods. Got you.
You know what they gave me, Mark? They gave me something.
What?
They gave me the Rewind series Allen Iverson magazine as a throw-in because I'd purchased Rewind series. So all 3 Slam magazines of Kobe Bryant. Like, so I'm telling you, if you want to go through back in history, man, that is a good buy.
Okay.
Worth it.
What's the secret code you got?
Hoop Spaces. One word. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on it right now.
Appreciate it.
I'm shopping.
All right. Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. No show tomorrow unless, breaking news happens, which now being the beginning of the NBA season, we expect to have some more breaking news. And one of them is you'll be here Wednesday at 10 a.m. Appreciate it, everybody. Have a good one. Peace out.